Welcome back to all of our friends, family, and even our foes to the Fox Den podcast. Along with my sons, Kellen, Gary, and Gannon, I'm Todd Fox. And obviously, we're the Fox Den podcast. Boys, it's episode 77. What player do you think of that wore that jersey number?
Luka Doncic. No explaining needed.
The most overrated player in the NBA currently.
We'll save that for another podcast.
There you go.
Go with good old Andrew Whitworth, offensive tackle for multiple teams, most notably the longest. Cincinnati Bengals, played with the Rams for a while as well, won a Super Bowl there. Retired after the Super Bowl. I would imagine he'd be in the conversation for Hall of Famer in the next 4 to 5 years. So,
Did he win a Walter Payton Award?
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Do you think he thinks of himself more as a Bengal or Ram since he won Super Bowl with the Rams?
Rams.
Probably
Bengals.
Ram.
Do you really think so?
I would say Ram, but also mainly because I feel like if he has any conversations with family and kids and stuff, that's all they're going to remember.
Well, let's just ask him himself. Steve.
It's Andrew, but
Andrew,
yeah.
whatever.
Hey, Andrew.
Andrew Whitworth. I know. I'm just messing with him. Andrew, come on in. Bink. Dog, who you got?
Well, since, we discussed before this podcast who we were picking, and for the first time ever I announced, and I said Andrew Whitworth, and Gary still came out and stole it. I think we're going to go Paul Coffey. Played in the NHL from 1980 to 2001, 5-time Stanley Cup winner.
Oh, yeah.
Most goals by defensive men in a single season, most points in a single game by a defenseman, 8-time scoring leader by defenseman, longest point streak by defenseman, NHL Hall of Fame, born in Weston, Ontario, Toronto, Canada. He played for the Edmonton Oilers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Los Angeles Kings, Detroit Red Wings, Hartford Whalers. Big fan of the Whalers myself. Paul Coffey. That is number 77.
You know the saying, when in wrong, go Paul Coffey.
Well, my thoughts are, I'd love to say Carl Mecklenburg. I really would. Play for the Broncos. Hoping to get him on the podcast at some point. Jim Jeffcoat. He at one time played for he played for Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson. I know he played for, I think he played for Switzer maybe a year or two, but he was really good. Good old Jim Jeffcoat. I think he coached there for a while, as well. That's who I would think of.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, well, I don't know how you're a Dallas fan, but you're only like 10 years old though too. So anyway, Garrett, what do you got for OU? You got some information for us?
Yeah, well, first, we talk about recruiting later on in this podcast, but we'll start out. Brent Venables has been getting a lot of heat the last week and a half or so for a couple comments he's made. This comment here is about Deion Sanders, Colorado coach. So we'll just play that here.
So you can talk about a culture change and, a resetting of the standards and what the expectations are. I gave guys 12 months of grace, and I was unlike Deion. I gave guys 12 months of grace to figure it out. Here's the 3, go to class, live right off the field. And when you show up over here, man, you show up with respect and appreciation for your opportunity. And if you go 0 for 3 for 12 months, you need a fresh start. So we help 21 guys, give or take, find a fresh start. So you can talk about.
So obviously, Brent Venables is referring to, as most people probably know, Deion coming in, completely pretty much flipping the Colorado roster and kicking out probably about 75-80% of the players that were on the roster, trying to make room for his own players. And Brent's obviously saying that's not how he did it or would do it again. And so a lot of people, I guess some of you guys might have heard that for the first time. So, how does that make you guys feel,
I understand what he's saying. Like, Deion kind of came in and did a lot, but also you got to think 2 completely different programs. Oklahoma is a winning program. We'd been winning, not winning the way we want to win, but we'd been among the top teams in college football. Colorado, not so much. He came, wanted to completely change it. He basically said, "Hey, if you're not here to win, get out." But Venables came into like the team he had. It was a solid team. We lost a couple of big players, but so I understand what he's saying, but I understand where Deion's coming from as well.
That's where I was gonna go into is Venables coming in kind of not had to change him and fit into OU, but you kind of want to like get into the OU culture. But Deion, like, yeah, he might be looking to change it rather than just get into it, and that's why he's there in the first place. And there's also just you could ask 100 coaches, and there might be 100 different answers on what they would do in their situations. So I don't think anybody should be bashing either one for what they did.
I don't know if he was actually bashing. I mean, because I mean,
No, I'm talking about the like fans or
okay.
media talking
Yeah.
about Venables. No, I don't think Venables was.
There's just two different styles. Colorado in one game last year, they stink. OU came, OU had won multiple games. How many did they win? Like nine the year before?
10.
10.
Yeah.
And obviously Riley left, took 3 players with him. A lot of players left, a lot of recruits left. I feel like there's kind of a little bit of it sounds like excuses in there, in my opinion. Don't like him. But my thoughts are, like, if there's some players in there that you really didn't want to be there, then get rid of them right off the bat. Just adios. But the other side of me, like, if OU, when we start winning again, I love it. I hope he does it all the time, because I want to be the Miami Hurricanes of the 2020s and 30s. Like, people hated that school, because they were so just mouthy, cocky, but they were the best players. And that's Jimmy Johnson helped create that. I would love it if that, I know probably is not going to happen, but I want to be that team that everybody just despises, except for the true OU fans.
Well, and you brought up players leaving and stuff like that. So when Venables came in, the players that were there, the fact that they're still there and they didn't transfer, I feel like shows him that he might want to keep them because they're there to play and win OU football. If that makes sense.
I just don't know.
It already shows him some stuff.
I just don't know if there's players that he wishes would have left. Maybe, I don't know. Deion coming in the way he did, and he was like, "It's coming, guys. It's coming. I'm bringing my guys with me. You guys, you guys are gonna have to leave." He said something about Louis Vuitton. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, bringing his Louis.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how Deion does in Colorado. I hope he does well. I truly think that he's going to change that culture. I don't think it'll be done overnight, for sure. Give him 2 or 3 years. He's either going to roll and be really good, or he's going to just not do well. But track record of him, he'll be fine. But I love it. I love that Venables has the guts to say some stuff. I don't think and again, I know you didn't say it, but I just don't think he meant anything personal. I think he's just basically saying there's different styles, and he didn't want to. He was giving some people some grace, which is cool.
Gary, how about you? We haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, Gary.
Well, I was just gonna say there is a quote from Deion swirling around saying like of his response, but like that's not real, it's fake. So if you see a response from Deion or a quote, like it's fake. The only thing he said so far is he tweeted something about he doesn't know who's spread that fake quote around on the attack of him and his coaches. So he's taking Venables' comments as an attack based on his tweet, which
he is.
Yeah. And so what I've seen is kind of what Dad was saying. I think Venables in the moment didn't really elaborate enough, but I would imagine he's probably thinking more of like he knows they're in 2 different situations. And he knew he had good talent on his team. So he, like you said, gave those guys 12 months. But now I kind of wish he would have said it until, like, I don't want to be that guy who only talks for, after winning or a good season. But we just went 6-7. So it's hard to,
yeah. back it up.
get excited about it, but we'll see. And then
I know he's getting roasted by fans talking about how we got drilled 49-0, which
But it's kind of funny because everybody was saying that Deion was a jerk for coming in there and doing what he did, and now Venables, all Venables says is I didn't do it like Deion, and now everybody's saying Venables is a jerk. Like people just want somebody to hate.
that's unfortunate. The Twitter world we live in.
Well, we have another clip of Venables for kind of taking shots at another university. So
6 and 7, none of it's any good. Right. But had we gotten blown out by a Middle Tennessee, right? Had we gotten beat by Florida State 45-3, right? The conversation's probably a little different.
So referring to Miami right there, both OU and Miami went 6 and 7. He's essentially just kind of comparing our seasons. So I know obviously most of our games were lost by one score last year, but he's kind of saying Miami, on the other hand, got blown out multiple times by much lesser universities. For one, they paid $1.5 million to come and play Miami, and then they end up beating him. So that's obviously not what you want. But yeah, that's on Mario Cristobal. I guess anything to say on that one? Pretty general, or
what prompted him to say that?
pretty much just saying that I think the question was referring to the 6 and 7 season we just had and the
And he was
outlook for the
looking at it.
future. Yeah. And
Okay.
so he was saying, obviously at the beginning, like, yeah, the fans wise, like if we would have gotten, we got blown out by Texas, but if we would have gotten blown out by a couple of teams early
Low
on,
level.
like a Nebraska or something, would have been different story after the season.
I mean, he's not wrong. If he was just like trying to cover up a poor season just by talking, it'd be a little poor, I guess. But he's not wrong with what he's saying. And I'm sure some people don't like it, like, oh, it's not classy or whatever. But kind of like Dad was talking about, like, forget it, like just go for it. I'm not going to be like complaining that he's not classy enough or something, because I'm sure some people are saying that. I haven't seen, but I'm sure some people are complaining that he's not really respectful enough. But
they're just making fun of our bad season.
That's fine.
Yeah, just go for it.
I don't know. Just I don't think he probably meant anything by it. It's a little weird to call out a specific school with specific games, but like the Hurricanes lost 5 games by double digits. Oklahoma lost 2. So it's like he's just saying like, yeah, it wasn't a great season, but like if we would have lost some of the games that this team lost, would have been a bad situation. But it is a little weird to call out a specific team who we have no issues with, but hey,
But also, like,
what it is.
Sometimes the best way to communicate something is just by giving an example.
Well, one way or another, he was going to have to call somebody out. If he would have said, if we would have lost to a poor team or something, then
that's just general speaking. People would be like, well,
but
obviously.
if he could have called specific teams that we played. Oh, if we would have lost this game, but that's still taking a shot at that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the point he was trying to make, he had to call out a team.
I agree.
So it's just a weird situation.
It's probably not as deep as what we're trying to make it, I guess. Now that
I agree. I just wish it would have been more like, I'm sure he knows more teams that got blown out also. So if he would have said, hey, other way again, if he would have said, you're looking the wrong way. If he would have said, Miami got, or not Miami, but a team got beat this way.
Tennessee got beat the crap out of South Carolina.
Right. Just a couple different things possibly. Again, I don't think it wasn't towards Mario. I mean, obviously if it's towards, says something about Miami, I get it, you probably get a little juices flowing, but hey man, I like to be the team that people want to beat. I mean, I want to be that team again. We'll be there hopefully shortly. And I have no problems with it. I truly think that he talks a long time. I can tell you that. Like he loves to talk. I know there was a person that interviewed him, and by the time he started the question till finally he ended, it was 12 minutes. So I personally think sometimes these guys love to talk. They talk for a long time because they only have a certain amount of time anyway. So then they're thinking, okay, well, they won't be able to get to some of these tougher questions sometimes. So that's my thoughts, but I don't know if that's accurate.
Obviously, like all the Miami fans are raging at it. And so because that comment was a couple weeks ago. And since then we've gotten 2 recruits over Miami.
Yeah.
One including a 5-star tight end and one a 4-star defensive lineman. So a lot of people think it's because Venables is getting kind of tired of like kids coming in and talking about maybe what Miami's saying about themselves, because we battle quite a bit with Miami and Florida athletes, because Florida's obviously one of the more talented groups in the country. So I'm talking about high school wise. Universities wise, they all stink. But
not for long.
So a lot of people are thinking that he's more referring to just kind of recruiting wise and kind of almost his pitch comparing the two.
That's true. He's doing little daggers there to help, which is fine. And the thing is, like, fans get upset. I get it. I'd be upset too sometimes, but Jimmy Johnson, that was a weekly thing with that guy, man. Like he was brilliant. And Switzer did it too. Like Switzer did. I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. Cause he was just like, and Stoops used to call out the SEC, like how they would beat the SEC teams. And, I know he lost to somebody. I can't remember who it was at one point, but
Florida in the championship.
He lost Florida in the championship, and I know he lost to Ole Miss in a bowl game. A&M,
Manziel though.
Right, but still, bottom line is, I mean, he was bold enough to say stuff, and then people are looking for stories just to, it's just aggravating. And like I said, if that's, I mean, I don't think that's his character to be rude about it, but if he's trying for recruits, hey, go for it. I mean, because people are going to rip on us. I mean, they're ripping on us to recruits for sure.
We just gotta back it up.
Sure. And I'll tell you another thing, like people are talking about, Oklahoma and Texas, they're going to have a rough time in the SEC. Don't disagree. It's going to be harder, but you don't think those other teams it's going to be a little bit harder for them too, that we're coming. They got to add both of us to that schedule. So it's going to be just as tough for them as well, adding 2 more blue blood schools to the SEC. I'm not saying we're going to win it, or not saying we're going to win it every year. But as long as he can, which Venables, which I still believe he can turn the ship. I truly think that we'll be better, especially some of these defensive guys he's getting. As long as he can coach them up, they'll be good. And you guys know as well as I do what I've always said. I mean, nothing against Dylan Graber. I like him. I hope he does well. I truly think we'll be 10-2 this year, 9-3 worst case scenario, depending on injuries, of course. But if we had Kyler, if we had Baker, or if we had Jalen Hurts, or even Caleb, I mean, we probably have a good shot at the national championship this year with that schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all the teams leading right now for favorites to get to the playoffs. They all have a top 10 quarterback in the country, and I just think I think Gabriel's sitting. He might be top 15. I think he's pretty close to that. It's just hard to say, but
I feel like he's
you were
back of the NCAA.
Well, if that was the case, he'd be top 10. But anyways, but like you were saying, like you can't tell me like a Georgia or an Alabama's not scared like that they're gonna have to start playing Texas and Oklahoma now too. Like
right,
both of those teams, they only have to play each other once every 4 to 5 years, and other than that, all you gotta do is just put together a pretty decent record and you'll be fine.
Right.
But
unless
now,
it's in the SEC championship game, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but now you're guaranteed to play Bama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean, and LSU now too, because
LSU's going to be, they're going to be tough. I'm telling you right here and now. Tennessee,
Yeah, but I don't think they're, I guess, classified as a blue blood. I do think they're going to be something to be
they're
reckoned
not.
with. But
No,
I think
they're on that next level.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see how Tennessee does the next couple of years because they've gotten pretty good recruits, but last year could have been a total fluke.
Yeah, but I think Heupel's a good enough coach. I really do, that he'll get a good quarterback in there. And then let's face it, I mean, if you have a good quarterback, that's, I don't want to say half of your problem solved, but it helps for sure if you have a decent quarterback, and it just proves like what he did. So it'll be interesting, and that's where Alabama, who knows what they're always Alabama, but you don't know who the quarterback's going to be this year for sure, 100%. So who knows how that's going to work? And I don't even know who Georgia's quarterback's going to be. Do we know?
Yeah, we do. He's going to be pretty solid.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be good. It's like David something Beck, I think, but yeah, he'll be solid.
Carson Beck.
And
Carson Beck, yeah.
I don't disagree. He'll be good, but it's just like, hey, he's going to beat up on the Sisters of the Poor, the little smaller schools at the beginning, and then once he gets his true test, if it's LSU, I don't know who they play this year, but if it's LSU, I don't think they play Alabama. But if it's LSU, Alabama, Tennessee, some tough road game. I mean, one of the toughest places to play is A&M. That home field of Kyle Field. Oh, scares me to death every time we went there back in the day. But you see what I'm saying? Chances of them going undefeated this year, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But speaking real quick on Bama's quarterback, that guy's going to be, from rankings I've seen, like, because they'll do like all these conference rankings of positions and stuff. That dude's bottom 3 in the SEC.
Really?
Only ones below him is like the Florida quarterback and I think Mizzou quarterback. Like, he is not a good quarterback. Yeah. Joe Milton, I think, is what it is, but
no idea.
We'll see. They'll figure out some way to still win 10 to 11 games. But
they'll still be solid. And again, we're not in the SEC this year, but I mean, I can't wait. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is seeing those ticket prices go up. But we've got that first year. Don't we have Alabama and Tennessee here?
Yeah. No. Yeah. South Carolina.
I think you're right. I think you're right. South Carolina. I think you're right. So, which I doubt Spencer would still be there, but he could be.
I think he technically could be, but he won't.
You don't think? Why?
I mean, he puts together an okay season. He'll be a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick.
Maybe.
Is this not his 4th season?
Yeah, but they got that
COVID year. He's still technically
he's still technically part of that because I think that was his first year, right? So he can still play another year because of COVID. And then after that, I think that it's over. I think that'll be done. You know what I mean? But who knows? He could hypothetically get hurt this year. And he got like whatever Jason White got, that exemption. I don't know what it was. Medical waiver or some sort of thing, got to play. Because Jason White played for us for like 6 years. And 2 of them were because of that. So he was like 45 years old when he finally finished. So any good recruits coming, Gary?
Yeah, it was actually just great question, Paul. I was gonna say today we just got 4-star wide receiver Zion Reagans. He's borderline 4-star, 5-star on a lot of different stuff. So like, obviously there's still a whole senior year to be played. So if he puts together a good campaign, there's a pretty good chance he becomes a 5-star. Not that stars matter, but obviously it's definitely good. He's 5'7". He's only 153 pounds, so that's slightly scary, but he also is the fastest player in the country. The most electric player in the country is what a lot of people say, so he'd be that guy.
Where's he from? Is he the guy from Georgia?
Yeah, he's the player out of Georgia. So
5'8", something like that. 5'7", 5'8", 150 pounds, something like that. He can fly. Is he going to be another Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, no, he won't be an outside guy, but he'll be, I guess you could say, kind of a more dynamic Drake Stoops, essentially. So
yeah, Stoops is back.
That'll be exciting. So he won't play much freshman year, I would imagine. So he'll have 2 years to put on a little bit of weight, and I would imagine he'd still grow a little bit. But
I want you to think about the coaching. Again, I know you had a point, right? Think about that. Keep that point. It looked like you wanted to say something. But my question is the coaching now. Because what you just said, he may not play that first year, but you've got to do something because otherwise these kids will leave. So you've got to give them something. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like how much is too much or not enough? If that makes any sense, you know what I mean? It's because kids are going to leave nowadays.
I agree. I think it's more of just not necessarily how much they play freshman year, but more of like what the plan is after freshman year. Because like we have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent coming in. So if you're sitting here, you're a recruit thinking you're going to start freshman year at Oklahoma, like you're in for a rude awakening. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Like I said, Drake Stoops will be gone. I think Gavin Freeman would take that spot, but if he's faster and better, I mean, why not give it to him? So,
yeah.
But other than that, outside of him, there's a chance in the next month we pick up 3 5-stars.
Yeah.
A 4-star and a 3/4-star. We're going to be in between us and USC for the #1 running back in the country, Taylor Tatum. He's out of Texas, I believe.
DeMarco Murray's the man.
Yeah, I would say we're most likely going to get this guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be an absolute stud. And I think we'll get him. And then we have the #1 player in the country, Williams Noire. He's a defensive end out of St. Louis, Missouri, I believe. We are leaning towards it's a battle between us and Georgia. So like Georgia can never be too like confident whenever you're competing with them.
Right, but what position?
He's an edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, though, I mean, do they have enough where this guy's not going to get any playing time and he can roll right into us? I don't know.
Who knows? I think he's definitely more being the #1 player in the class. Like you're more development, getting to the league kind of deal. But I mean, either way, if we could land that guy, that'd be insane because he's a stud. Like I said, #1 player in the country. Like I don't know when's the last time Oklahoma's done that, but. And then we also have another 5-star defensive lineman. He can be inside, outside. His name's David Stone. He's from Oklahoma City. He's playing in IMG Academy right now, which I think is based out of Florida right now. But he's heavily leaning towards us between Miami, and Michigan State. So his recruitment is pretty locked down. He's just kind of, I think, waiting. Don't know really why, but it is what it is. So I think we can get him. And then we also got let's see here, 3-star. He's an offensive lineman, so nothing crazy. It's an interior offensive lineman, which I think we have more struggle with. Like typically our tackles are pretty solid. It's more of the interior we struggle with. So we'll see how that goes. And then other than that, I feel like I'm missing one, but
it's okay, Garrett. It's okay. Say more for next week, at some point. For sure. What else is going on, Kellen? Anything going on with you?
Like what?
I don't know. Life, What are you looking for the most? Like what in this college football season, what are you looking forward to the most?
Hopefully just some improvement. I want to win 8 or 9 games. If we don't win 8 or 9 games, like I know Venables said, give him 3 years. I feel like we need to win 9 games.
I think 9 minimum. Yeah. 9 minimum.
To feel comfortable with rolling into the 3rd year. But I can't wait. I'm excited, but
sure.
We'll see.
Gannon, I know you're going to be overseas during the season. However, I'm sure you'll be able to catch something at some point. I don't know. What are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I kind of tuned it all out. I'm not going to really be in touch with college football while I'm gone.
You can't get notifications on your phone
from notifications, but
from Germany or
sending you some texts.
Wherever else you're going.
I'll be
Yeah,
out.
You're going to be too excited of all this other stuff, and I totally
The
get
Premier
it.
League. I'll be watching the real sport, the real football,
Yeah.
live with my eyes.
Which speaking of the real football, isn't Messi starting to play this weekend? I think his first game's coming up.
Is it this weekend?
Yeah.
I thought it was
Big
either
time.
on like I think it's tomorrow. Is it
Yeah.
not?
That's pretty fantastic if it is, because I want to make sure I somehow, some way, I'm able to watch that game, because that'll be
Tomorrow.
records. I'm
What
assuming.
time?
I'm trying to find that out.
I'm assuming it's a home game.
I would assume.
I'm gonna look forward to that. I think it'll be good. Garrett, what about you? What are you looking forward to most next season?
6:30.
Still early, but yeah.
Probably the fact that we're just gonna go in, win the Big 12 again, show everyone who's daddy, and just, right off into the sunset, which is the SEC. Which I will say this from the beginning, I was not a fan of it. I'm still not a fan of it, but it is what it is. But yeah, riding into the sunset and saying, see you later, because they won't be there much longer. That's for sure.
Beating up on OSU one last time.
Oh,
Yeah. Spanking a little boy around. OSU, that is. Yeah.
Little brother. Yes, exactly. Exactly, for sure. Well, what else? You guys got anything else? Kellen, why don't you let the folks know how they can how they can find us?
Well, we got a few different platforms. Our Instagram page it's been going on for a little while at Foxden Podcast. We got a lot of good postings there. We're gonna try to up that even more. Obviously, we're on YouTube, Foxden Podcast, Facebook as well, where we just kind of at least update you on when the new episode's coming out, so you never miss. I recently overtook the Twitter account, so trying to keep that a little active, getting involved in the community at Foxden Podcast. Go ahead and give me a follow, start some conversation, tweet at me. What'd you like? What didn't you like? And I'll tell you, I'll give you a piece of my mind. We'll have a good conversation. We'll get into it.
Hey, let's start a trend. Ask Kellen to roast you, and I think that could be a really good trend. Just hop on there, see what he's
Kellen's
got.
roast of the week.
That's what. Hey, if you want to be roasted, I'll give you my best shot.
Tweet at him to get roasted, and we'll get it on the next podcast. How about that?
We'll get it on the next podcast, and then you can respond. You can roast our podcast. You can say, "Hey, this is what I liked. This is what I didn't like." Also, hey, if you got any questions, anything you want us to talk about on this podcast, let me know. I'll keep track. If you seem competent and you want to be on the podcast, let me know. We'll talk about it. Just hit me
You
up.
have to go through a couple
no
of
profanity.
rounds, but
Podcast.
No profanity.
Oh yeah.
Got to pass
Obviously.
the background.
Background check.
Background check.
Good lighting.
Mic
Make
check.
sure you have a good mic and solid.
Have a
Wi-Fi
good
connection.
microphone and have some lighting, man. I finally got me some lighting.
No, Wi-Fi is number one though.
A little Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the little Wi-Fi action. If you don't got fiber, don't talk to me. Don't at me.
Exactly. And then make sure you subscribe to our channel over a little over here. I think a little maybe down there.
Yeah.
Subscribe to that channel. Subscribe right down there. Push subscribe. And remember, Fox Den Podcast. We kind of changed it up a little bit. Fox Den Podcast, 2 X's. Got to remember 2 X's because we're a little bit extra special. You know what I'm saying? But we want to thank all of our listeners, our friends, our family, and our foes to take time out of their day to listen to our podcast. We really appreciate that. Just remember that iron sharpens iron.
Please stay safe.
Be savage and not average.
and remember to join the skulk.
Until next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.